Hi, folks. This is Paul at rfcradio.com. I'm going to talk about cap and trade for a minute here. Now, what exactly is cap and trade? Well, policymakers in Washington want to dramatically change America's energy policy by regulating carbon dioxide emissions. The overriding goal is to reduce man made global warming by lowering how much bad stuff us humans spew into the air. This is the foundation. You have to sincerely believe that humans have a statistically significant effect on the atmosphere for any of this legislation to be meaningful. Now, if you're like me, you don't have any reason to believe that global temperatures are changing because of us evil humans. The time and money wasted by cap and trade is even more maddening to deal with. Put simply, cap and trade is a tax on energy consumption, a huge tax. In fact, it could turn out to be one of the government's largest revenue sources within the next decade. There are two parts to it. There's the cap, a government-defined cap or limit, like the speed limit, on the amount of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases that can be emitted into the atmosphere. Power plants, factories, refineries, etc., will be allocated credits or permission to emit a certain amount of 6 different greenhouse gases. Now, again, you have to believe the factories, Hummers, farting cows, and breathing humans are harming the planet for this to mean anything. However, the amount of credits assigned to companies is fixed. That leads to the trade piece of this. Companies who generate less than the annual allotment of credits don't pay any fines or fees. In fact, they can sell their excess allowances to companies that do exceed their amounts. Or you can buy credits on a government-created market. However, carbon credits are an artificial, government-created scarcity. The government is determining how much energy companies can use. They're making up their own commodity. Now, if you have to buy credits, there are many companies to choose from. There's one called Generation, there's one called Camco, and many others. Now, who is making the money? Who are the traders? Well, Al Gore is one. In fact, he co-founded Generation Investment Management. And for some reason, he based it in London. I guess he didn't want to pay those pesky U.S. taxes. Now, who is the other co-founder of Generation Investment? Well, that's none other than Hank Paulson. Does that name ring a bell? He's a Treasury Secretary, former Goldman Sachs CEO. And did you know that at least 4 other Goldman Sachs executives are on the board of Al Gore's company? Pretty sickening. But the nepotism gets even better. The Chicago Climate Exchange aspires to be the New York Stock Exchange of carbon trading, as does its sister company, the European Climate Exchange. Well, Goldman Sachs happens to own 10% of the CCX. And the CCX actually owns half of the European Climate Exchange. Makes a lot of sense. Makes me wonder why the heck Goldman Sachs needed a $13 billion bailout, as recommended, or should we say, demanded by its former CEO, Hank Paulson. Now here's something else to chew on. Have you ever heard of the car company called Fisker? Me neither. But apparently our government has, because it has given them $528 million taxpayer dollars to develop a hybrid sports car that will cost about $90,000. Oh, but wait, there are cheaper models that will cost about $55,000 to $60,000. That's just the right price for families like yours and mine. Now, you know who happens to be a part owner of Fisker? Al Gore. Al Gore. There's nothing to see here. So the bottom line, carbon credits or offsets, the main staple of the cap and trade plan, are nothing but a farce, a government-created commodity that lines liberal pockets under the guise of saving the world from evil carbon producers. Cap and trade will force every company that generates CO2 and other gases to meet arbitrarily defined levels, or else pay fines. In other words, any company that uses the combustion engine to create or deliver its products will have to do this. I'm thinking farmers, taxi drivers, shipping companies, schools and school buses, railroads, any company with a machine or vehicle in use. Now again, this whole scam is based on another scam, the scam of man-made global warming. And who's the biggest proponent out there scaring the world into believing that we need to lower our carbon footprint? You know who that is. Carbon credits make no sense. Consider this analogy. I enjoy food a lot, as you can see. However, if the government gets its hands on healthcare, it might decide to restrict benefits to me based on my lifestyle choices, such as drinking, or exercising, or not exercising, and how they affect my health. But what if I decide to eat at the buffet every day, as long as I sponsor a Kenyan marathon runner and I buy exercise credits from him? I eat, he runs, he gets money, we both win, right? That's the kind of logic we're dealing with here, folks. The government wants to establish tough standards that will cause businesses to either raise costs to meet them, lower production, or possibly close their businesses or move them elsewhere to avoid these credits. That doesn't sound like a good idea to me. Cap and trade is a farce.